हेलो गाइस। तो आज हम लोग एक सेकंड सेशन लेकर के आए हैं मास्टरिंग द इम्बैलेंसेस का, जो मैंने स्टार्ट किया था यूजिंग जर्म सिलमैन का एक जो बुक है, जर्मिन सिलमैन का हाउ टू रीअसेस योर चेस। तो उसमें अब एक अंडर द हेडिंग कॉल्ड प्लानिंग क्रिएटिंग योर ओन फ्यूचर, उसमें बताता है कि लाइक प्लानिंग इज नथिंग बट ए बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ मास्टरिंग द इम्बैलेंसेस। एक बार आप इम्बैलेंस को अच्छे से समझने लगोगे तो आपको प्लान will automatically come, like you'll automatically know next move or say series of moves, right? तो उसमें क्या बोला है, जैसे कि मान लीजिए आपको अब एक बार आप समझ गए कि इम्बैलेंसेस वगैरह क्या है, और आपको समझ लीजिए दिख रहा है कि एक ओपन फाइल है, उस सेमी ओपन फाइल है जिसमें अपोनेंट का एक वीक पॉन है विच कैनॉट बी प्रोटेक्टेड बाय एनी अदर पॉन, राइट? तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपके ब्रेन में एक प्लान आएगा कि चलो उसको अटैक करते हैं, let's bring all our rooks on that file and try to attack that pawn, right? So open file है तो उससे आपको आइडिया मिल गया कि आई नीड टू कंट्रोल दैट फाइल। वीकनेस है, उससे एक और आइडिया मिला कि वी कैन अटैक दैट वीकनेस, दैट pawn weakness, right? And then you can come bridge this gap basically, or stitch these two things together and create your own plan, right? So now I'm saying stitch these two things together. ये two things क्या है? ये imbalance ही है ना, that एक ओपन फाइल है and you can control but he cannot control, right? So that is positive, like you can bring your pieces quickly on that file, right? Rooks quickly, and he cannot because basically that's semi open, it's not open for him, it's open for you, so you can bring. So that was your positive imbalance. तो अपने पास जो भी पॉजिटिव इम्बैलेंसेस है उस हिसाब से हम लोग प्लान बनाते हैं, और अपने जो भी नेगेटिव इम्बैलेंस है, मान लीजिए अपना कुछ वीकनेस है, तो वी ट्राई टू डिफ्यूज इट, लाइक एदर पुश दैट पॉन, राइट, or exchange with some other pawn, right? Or worst case scenario, we try to protect it, but that's generally passivity. So अगर actively we can push and exchange that pawn, that's good. हाँ, तो अब हम क्या बोलने जा रहे हैं कि इसमें एक इसने उदाहरण दे रखा है, और ये एक टोपोलो और के शशि किरण का गेम है, ठीक है? विल गो टू दैट गेम, ओके? लेट मी क्विकली गो टू दैट गेम, ओके? और इस गेम में एट सर्टेन पॉइंट, ओके, तो वो इम्पोर्टेंट रहेगा, ये होल गेम पर वो ज़्यादा डिस्कशन नहीं दे रहा है। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट क्विकली, ओके? इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग। तो एट सर्टेन पॉइंट ही विल इन मिडिल गेम, तो जनरली प्लानिंग का भी इम्पोर्टेंट होता है, मतलब इट्स ऑलवेज इम्पोर्टेंट, बट मिडिल गेम इज जनरली वेयर यू हैव लॉट ऑफ पीसेस एंड यू don't know what to move, right? Because lot of people, you guys will know certain opening few lines, right, or few moves, or end game भी also basic end game you know, right? But middle game में it's very difficult to come up with a plan. So उसके लिए हम लोग ये सीरीज स्टार्ट किए थे। Then let's see, ये D4 and knight F6 C4, ठीक है, क्वींस गैम्बिट लाइन खेल रहा है वो, right, and trying to control the D5 square right now, okay? तो या D5 का स्क्वायर पे कंट्रोल है, वो क्या कर रहा है, वो D5 को मतलब ये जो नाइट को D5 पे कंट्रोल कर रहा था उसको बिशॉप से ये पिन कर दिया, सो नाउ ही कैन पुश D5, okay? Anyhow, so there are a lot of lines, so this is not the interesting thing that I want to talk about, is not this opening but rather in the middle game. So let's quickly go, right? तो यहाँ पे आप देखोगे कि यहाँ पे बी सॉरी G2 पे अटैक बन रहा था, तो उसने पॉन मतलब नाइट को डेवलप किया है, फिर कैजुअल होता है, अब D5 खेल रहे हैं। तो अब हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, हम लोग तुरंत इमीडिएटली ले नहीं रहे हैं D5 पॉन को, क्योंकि हम लोग मान लो ले लेते हैं और वो नाइट से ले रहा है, राइट? तो इसका बिशॉप ये ओपन हो जा रहा है, अभी तो बिशॉप उसका क्लोज है खुद के पॉन से, तो हम लोग जस्ट पुश करने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं। अगर वो ले लेता है तो ये एक और इम्बैलेंस बनेगा। हमारे पास बिशॉप पेयर रहेगा, दोनों पेयर, और उसके पास सिर्फ एक बिशॉप वाइट वाला रहेगा, राइट? बट देन आई विल हैव डबल पॉन ऑन दिस लाइन। तो दो आर इम्बैलेंसेस, बट ये इम्बैलेंस को हम लोग डिटेल में बात करेंगे। अभी हम ये गेम पे एक पोजीशन पे, मतलब जैसे जैसे टेक्स्ट बुक बता रहा है वैसा वैसा हम लोग वीडियो बनाएंगे, बस सिंपल सा फंडा है। तो टेक्स्ट बुक गोज थ्रू दिस गेम फर्स्ट, देन वी आर आल्सो गोइंग थ्रू दिस गेम फर्स्ट। अब यहाँ पे वो स्नाइप पे अटैक है ना, देखो क्या होता है। स्नाइप को डिफेंड होता है, ओके, हमको डिफेंड करना था ना, तो हमने डिफेंड किया, राइट? अब हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे वो देख रहा है कि C6 वीक बन रहा है, अब हाँ, at this point now this is the exact point where he starts talking about all the pluses and minuses of, मतलब जो इम्बैलेंस है उसके बारे में बात करता है, राइट। तो अब बोल रहा है कि व्हाइट का क्या है, व्हाइट के पास क्वीन साइड स्पेस है। क्वीन साइड क्या हुआ, ये मैं बात बताना चाहूंगा। ए बी सी डी मान लो तो वो क्वीन साइड हो गया, जहाँ क्वीन है और क्वींस के लेफ्ट साइड पे, राइट। और किंग जहाँ है, किंग के फोर्थ फाइल को आप तो किंग साइड मान लेते हो, अगर टू पार्ट में डिवाइड करना है तो, राइट। तो ये क्वीन साइड और किंग साइड हो गया। समटाइम दे आल्सो कॉल्ड ए बी सी एज क्वीन साइड and FGH as king side, and the central two file D and E are called center basically। तो queen side, king side and center अगर थ्री पार्ट में डिवाइड करना है, टू पार्ट में डिवाइड करना है तो ए बी सी डी विल बी क्वीन साइड एंड ई एफ जी एच फाइल्स विल बी किंग साइड। ओके, तो अब बोल रहा है कि यहाँ क्वीन साइड में ज़्यादा स्पेस है वाइट के पास, तो आप देख सकते हो, राइट। ये जनरली ये क्रैम्ड है, इसके पास ज़्यादा स्पेस नहीं है। एरो कैसे बनाते हैं, ओके। आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू मेक एरो ऑन दिस बोर्ड बेसिकली, विच इज दिस इज नथिंग बट चेस बेस का इंजन है मेरे पास। ओके, तो इस साइड में इसको क्वीन साइड में कम स्पेस है, हमारे पास मेनू पीसेस मैन्यूवर करने के लिए ज़्यादा स्पेस है, राइट। आई कैन मूव क्वीन हियर टू हियर, ओके। बिशॉप्स कैन गो डिफरेंट प्लेसेस, rook can go to different place। If I bring my rook to c file, it has a lot of scope here on this file। तो हमारे पास स्पेस ज़्यादा है। और ब्लैक के पास, अगर ब्लैक के नज़र सोचे तो यहाँ पे उसका एक पॉन वीक है, इसको अभी कोई पॉन प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर पाता। वीक का क्या मतलब, पीस प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है तो स्टिल इट्स वीक, बिकॉज एनी पॉन दैट कैनॉट बी प्रोटेक्टेड बाय पॉन इज अ वीक पॉन, ठीक है। तो अब हम लोग देखेंगे और क्या है। अगर मान लीजिए वो सोचता है कि अपना वीक पॉइंट को हम पुश करके पुश कर देंगे और काम हो जाएगा, तो वो भी गलत है, राइट। तो अगर वो ये करना भी चाहेगा तो ये नहीं हो सकता है। क्यों, क्योंकि मतलब करेगा तो ठीक है, लेकिन हम लोग ले लेंगे उसके बाद ये देखो इसका बी सिक्स भी वीक हो जाएगा फिर, है ना। हम लोग अगर सी क्रॉस सॉरी बी क्रॉस सी सिक्स लेंगे पॉन को, तो लेट मी जस्ट क्विकली शो व्हाट आई मीन। अगर वो यहाँ चलता है और हम यहाँ ले लेते हैं, वो यहाँ ले लेता है, और वो जो ए फाइव था, राइट। तो जस्ट फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम प्लेइंग सम रैंडम मूव्स टू ब्रिंग बैक दैट पोजीशन। लेट्स गो हियर, लेट्स से समथिंग लाइक दिस एंड लेट्स से हियर, ओके। तो ये मैंने जस्ट वो पोजीशन को लाने के लिए एक ट्राई कर रहा था। तो अब ये पोजीशन पे, क्योंकि वो ब्लैक का मूव ए फाइव चल दिया था ना, तो मेरे को सी सिक्स चलने नहीं दे रहा था वो पॉन से, क्योंकि इट वॉज वाइट टर्न। तो जनरली अब देखो, अगर वो सी सिक्स चल के एंड वी टू बी क्रॉस सी सिक्स, तो क्या हो रहा है, अब ये पॉन वीक हो जा रहा है उसका। this pawn cannot be protected by any other pawn। same is with this pawn, right। and then here you are getting a proper hole, b5 पे अपना pieces के लिए अच्छा outpost बन जा रहा है, you can put some pieces there। so yeah, that is another thing। लेट्स गो बैक टू द ओरिजिनल पोजिशन। हाँ, यहाँ पे वही बोल रहा है कि ये पॉन वीक है, राइट, एंड इट कैनॉट बी पुश्ड। उसके बाद ब्लैक का डी फाइव वीक है, राइट। एंड ब्लैक का काउंटर प्ले कहाँ है, तो ब्लैक स्ट्रॉन्ग कहाँ है, ब्लैक का स्ट्रॉन्ग है किंग साइड एरिया में। क्यों, क्योंकि इसका जो ये बिशॉप है, इट्स टारगेटिंग दिस h7 on the king side basically, right। this rook can be brought quickly, this queen can jump quickly, something like this, and coming to f6 then g6, right। तो उसका इस एरिया में स्ट्रॉन्ग है। then this knight can come here supporting this e4 knight। तो उसका स्ट्रॉन्ग एरिया किंग साइड है, और हम लोग का क्वीन साइड एरिया ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग है, राइट। and if we are able to exchange the pieces and elevate some of the pressure on the king side, right, तो हम लोग गेम को जीत सकते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ मतलब क्वीन साइड पे, क्योंकि हम लोग स्ट्रॉन्ग हैं, राइट। एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी कैन जस्ट पुश दिस pawn forward after exchanging everything and queen here। तो अब हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं, वी वांट टू एक्सचेंज सर्टेन पीसेस, स्पेशली दोज पीसेस विच आर अटैकिंग ऑन द किंग साइड। तो हम लोग का नेगेटिव में क्या है, एक नेगेटिव में हम लोग का क्या है कि बिशॉप, ये बिशॉप को ज़्यादा स्कोप नहीं है। क्यों, क्योंकि ये अपने पॉन से ही पॉन चेन में लॉक है, लाइक पॉन चेन इज दिस पॉन ऑन d4 e3 and f2। दिस थ्री पॉन्स आर मेकिंग a pawn chain, and this bishop doesn't have any good square along this diagonal, like this diagonal is not open, right? So what we want to do is, okay, उससे पहले एक और है, या बेसिकली इतना ही था, इतना ही वो, फिर हम लोग यहाँ पे चल सकते हैं ना, इसको यहाँ पे चल लेंगे। अब वो क्या हो, नाउ दिस दिस टू पीसेस विल बी एक्सचेंज फॉर, इट कैन इवन इफ इट मूव एनीवेयर, राइट? तो हम लोग जा करके इस बिशप को ले सकते हैं। तो ये हमारा इनएक्टिव बिशप था, एंड वी एक्सचेंज फॉर आवर देयर एक्टिव बिशप, क्योंकि ये इट वाज प्लेइंग ए रोल अटैकिंग किंग साइड, एंड आवर्स वाज नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग, बट वी एक्सचेंज आवर इनएक्टिव थिंग विद हिज एक्टिव थिंग। तो यही बोल रहा है कि प्लान बन के आया ना, तुमको पता चला कि यहाँ पे वीकनेस है हमारा, मतलब ये इनएक्टिव है, पहले इसको अच्छा करते हैं, ये पीस को अच्छा करते हैं, तो दैट इज वन प्लान, लाइक मेकिंग योर इनएक्टिव पीसेस एक्टिव, that is one thing. And then attacking the weaknesses, right? That is another thing. And then playing where you are you have more strength or more space. So anyhow, we'll slowly learn these things. I'm also learning and trying to teach as well, so that I learn better as well. Okay. तो यहाँ पे ये चलते हैं। अब क्या होगा, ba3, इट वाज ए गुड मूव। नाउ एनीथिंग वन, अगर आप लोगों को ये लग रहा होगा कि ये पॉन c5 पुश हो सकता है, नहीं, आई एक्सप्लेन अर्लियर, राइट? वी कैन टेक विथ आवर बी पॉन, राइट? ये अगर ये c5 आएगा तो n% कैप्चर हो ही जाएगा, so that is also not possible, so there is no way to avoid the exchange. So only thing is that anyhow it's getting exchange. He can do some developing move if he wants to. So let's say he do rook c8, so that in future he can defend this pawn. He takes, right? If he takes with this, okay. So there are two ways to capture this. Three way actually. This one can go back. This can come here, right? But he wants to get rid of his weakness on this. But anyhow, if you remember, now this pawn is weak, right? As well as this d6 pawn is also weak. d5 is also weak, right? But there are some pluses, because now our knight cannot jump on e5. So this pawn is indirectly controlling e5, right? So that is one thing. Now we want to, what we want to do? We want to further go ahead and exchange things, right? So you'll see that's what exactly will happen in the game. Okay, he'll try to avoid exchange, but it's of no use. We will be able to exchange things, right? So that's the plan. Now he's trying to double on this file, so we'll try to do the similar thing, right? Okay, so he's playing h6, so this is not in accordance with the plan. Let's see if that was the top move or what. h6 was not top move. So if he had played here rook c7, if you see, Indian is saying that is the top move. So bringing the rook, h6 is not even in the top 3 yet. Okay, anyhow. So yeah, now we exchange. He comes here, we bring our rook here. Now he brings, so we are exchanging, right? Now the pressure is alleviating. Okay, now we can, once the pressure is gone, now we can target his weaknesses. Okay? His position has a lot of weaknesses. So you'll see, because of all this backward pawn not being advanced properly, we will be able to win this game ultimately. We are also trying to exchange queen. He doesn't. Now why we go back? So in this game, Topalo say that we are now protecting this pawn. Why? Because we want to kick this knight away. So that is one of the plan that you will be seeing in future, called as anti-knight strategy. So knight are effective when it has some good outpost, forward outpost, right? Basically, in say if a black knight, so he has to have some outpost in 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. 1 doesn't even make sense, right? Unless 1 and 2, they only come at 1 and 2 when there is some tactics. Otherwise, mostly if on third and fourth rank, if some outposts are there, that's called advanced outpost. So if we take away it, and now it has to go its in its own side. So basically, say if you are white, 1 2 3 4 belongs to you, and 5 6 7 8 belongs to black, right? So it has to go to its own area. So that's called anti-knight strategy, right? So taking away all the advanced squares, advanced basically outpost square. So that is what we want to do. So in future, basically that means that I'll be pushing f2 f3 to kick away this knight. But when I do that, this pawn will become weak, right? And queen can take it. So that's why he has brought queen to c7. Yeah, that was some of the trivia from the game. Now we are trying to do that, exactly that, right? We don't want this knight, it could have come here and try to exchange, right? But that we do not want, right? Because then it served the purpose. This knight can get exchange and this knight can jump in, but we don't want to do that. We want to push it back. Okay, so that's why we played that. Okay, now see where will it go. Okay, if I push it back, so where will it go? It can go here only, right? There is no other square. But now I have taken away that square also. So f2, f3 basically will win a piece for me. So he has to do something about that. So he does exactly. He vacates a square for his other knight. We push f2, f3, the other knight goes there. Okay. Okay, let's play knight d7. Okay, so he now why did he move knight d7, right? So one idea could be he wants to push this pawn to f5, right? And then bring the knight behind that. That was one of that could be, but the most important idea is he wants to just take away this pawn. And how what we can do? We can defend it using king queen e1. So that's exactly what happens, right? And then we can come even here, right? And then we can even take this pawn because this pawn cannot take it. His king is his pawn is pinned because our queen has X-ray attack on the black king. Okay, so we brought it here. Now threat is this knight taking this pawn, right? So let's see what he does. So now you'll see. Anyhow, even he move, right? So Tapolo was quite an attacking player, uh, and very good at tactics. So he takes it. Now, suppose you take G cross H5 anyhow. So that's how the game progressed anyhow. So you'll see. We can just move here, right? This is the only move to stay in the game, right? If you say play any other game, F5 is the only move, and then second is knight G6. But say you play F6, just for an example, I'm saying. So what we can do, we can just check you here, right? Where are you going to move now? There is no good move, so you'll move here to protect yourself, right? We can just take this. Now you have to take this, right? And then I can take your knight. So F5 is the only move that made some sense. At this point, now we are coming again and attacking F5, right? He's coming and defending the F5 pawn, but we are taking anyhow because our knight will come with check, right? If he takes, just for example, we'll take with check, and this is not only check on the king but also a mate, checkmate, because he cannot go anywhere. So now he has to protect that, so he cannot take this immediately. So let's see what he does. At this point, he plays knight g6. Okay, so now what we can do is we can just eliminate that. Now we okay, so now he takes with the king, and now we take this. So this cannot take, right? If you see, if he takes with the, he cannot take because basically that is pinned. This knight is pinned. The only thing is he can take with queen, right? But here he takes here. Now let's say what happens when it takes with king. That is another important question, right? So nothing happens. Basically, it will be mated. So hence he cannot take. So now he takes here. Okay. Once he takes here, what we can do is we can just move, right? And then his he played queen e7 here. Okay. So he comes back to defend this. Okay. And here we are checking again, right? And then he's playing king f6. We play g4. Okay. So now our pawn is pretty advanced and there is no other pawns, right? So our plan would be simply whenever you have passed pawn. So these pawns are called as passed pawn. Whenever you do not have any opposing pawn for that pawn, right? Like opposing pawn meaning if there is no black pawn in that same file, so those are passed pawn. And when you have connected passed pawn, like two pawns are there connected, which are connected, and there is no opponent's pawn to hinder that or block that pawn, those are connected pawn. That's pretty huge advantage sometime, right? And if they are far advanced, that sometime overbeat even a rook. Okay, so at least it should have come till fifth or sixth rank, then it beats a rook as well. Anyhow, so here he's trying to exchange. We do not want to exchange that right now, but at some point we will do that exactly. Okay, so I think exchanging is fine, but if you don't want to exchange also, we can just take queen b6, right, and then take this pawn, and then we have connected password on this side as well, so that is also quite strong now. Okay, anyhow, so this is pretty much it, and then you'll see the conversion, but that's not the topic of interest here. So here what our topic was, like basically here we deeply analyzed what are the issues of the position, what are the positive, what are the negative, and then we found out only one negative that we found out for white was that this pawn, sorry, this bishop was inactive and his bishop was pretty active. So idea is like plan was to basically exchange our inactive bishop for his active bishop, right? And then we saw once that this was done, our second idea was to exchange the rooks, right? Exchange all the pieces and then move away this knight. Okay, sorry, basically kick away this knight, and then here what we did is like basically we created a boss pawn here on the king side, and in conversion we'll just push this pawn to promotion. Okay, so that was pretty much the video, and hope you learned something from this game of Topolo and Sasikiran, and hope you understood one of the idea of which was discussed in detail was basically exchanging our inactive piece for opponent's active piece. And then we also discussed some of the one more thing that they discussed in that same game was like whenever generally you have space, right? Not in this game, but general idea. They said that whenever you have space, an opponent is crammed for space, right? Here we just have space on the king queen side, but say you have space on both the side of the board, right? And he doesn't have the space. So then he doesn't have good squares for his pieces. So in that case, you don't want to exchange pieces and give him that relief, right? If its position is cramped and you have space, you do not want to exchange pieces generally. So that's a good idea unless you are going to convert that space advantage into some say material gain or something like that. In that case, exchanging is good, but you should be gaining something, some other positives. That if not, just try to maneuver your pieces in your space, which you can do, but he cannot do because he doesn't have that those many squares that he is controlling. So yeah, so those two idea I want to leave you with, guys. One is that basically if you have space, good space on both sides, you just generally do not want to exchange your pieces, right? Exchange with opponent pieces. And second thing is like you want to exchange your inactive pieces which do not have good square, right, for opponent's active pieces which is doing a good job and has good scope and good square controls, right? So you want to basically exchange such things. And third thing is like generally you see open file, try to take that open file. So those are basic things that we wanted to discuss, and that was there in this topic planning, creating your own future, right? And then in the next thing, yeah, basically we'll see what is the next thing that we want to see. Maybe there are more game. I'm thinking there are more game within this, so maybe I'll cover one more game under this, and then we'll look at the topic talking to the board, and it will talk to you. Okay, so how we do that, so that will be in the next basically I'll be making another video for that. Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you did get to learn something from this video, and if you like this video, please hit a like and comment if you have any doubt. Yeah, and subscribe for motivating me to make such more videos. Yeah, thanks everyone.